What's up, guys? Got another game with the Skittles deck, in case you have not seen the first game, because I kind of uploaded that one late at night, and I feel like a couple people might have missed it, but I do have a Pokemon Trading Card Game Series playlist, which I will leave in the description. I have a couple other things I want to talk about that I will leave in the description as well. And what is that hissing noise? That is weird. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It'll probably stop. That's interesting. Anyways, I'm fighting a fighting deck, and I don't really know it at the time, but Machamp Prime is going to give me a lot of trouble. And I don't even know he's running it at this point. I was just like, I'm going to record, and I'll see if this turns out decent, but it ends up giving me quite a bit of trouble, since if you know anything about it, it operates basically on what this deck decides to do to the opponent's field, and that kind of sucks. But for now, you know, I think he double mulliganed or tripled. I think he just doubled. And I got Pichu, which is kind of the same as getting a collector, assuming you can use it first and you can get it out of there without getting killed. Otherwise, you know, prize card for them, blah, 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 that kind of thing. I do have 2 Oaks in my hand, and I'm kind of hoping I can draw into a Mew and start seeing off and doing damage as soon as possible. Because while they're in their basic forms, it won't really take that long to KO them. And somebody was talking about plugging Jirachi into this deck, and I was thinking about it, and I was thinking how good that would really be. Because what you can do is you can de-evolve Pokemon, and they'll still keep the damage counters amount that they have on them, but they'll get less HP. So you can kind of get a knockout by reverting them into their quote-unquote younger forms. And, you know, just accumulating damage and then just putting energy on Jirachi and then just using it to kill the things off like that. So that's kind of an interesting thing I could put in here, and I feel like it wouldn't really disrupt the theme of this deck too much. So that's kind of cool. He decides not to put any basics on the bench, which I find interesting. But since he sees Kyurem, actually no, I don't know if he saw Kyurem first, or if he's allowed to, if that's how it works, I don't remember. For the time being, he's just going to evolve those 2 things, and then that's all we really got going on. I do have a Psychic Energy in my hand, which allows my Mew to see off the Chandelure that's in my deck. I have 2, just in case one gets prized off, and then the other one's just kind of junk on fodder, that kind of thing. As for Jirachi, I may plug 1 or 2. Probably going to end up doing 2, just so I can run at least 1. But for now, I'm going to retreat, since I do need to, you know, get the ball rolling. And turns out I have both of those. If you guys know anything about this deck, I do run 4 Mews, but I was only able to get 2 because there are only 2. That means 2 of my Mews are prized, and that kind of sucks, because if I can't use the Mews, then I'm going to be using the Kyurem, and that takes a little bit longer to load up, a little bit longer to get going. As you can kind of see, he's already getting his end of the field evolved as well. And I don't want to be dealing with that. But fortunately, Machoke does have a weakness to the Psychic type. And the thing I forgot at this point in the game is that you don't do damage based on the Pokemon that you saw off. Like, if I were to be using Flame Burst, it wouldn't be fire damage. It's still Psychic damage because it's of the Pokemon that, you know, it's on, or the Pokemon that's using it. So for now, he's going to go ahead and go for the Chant Buster, which I believe does 100 base damage based on, and then it does 10 more for every Pokemon on the bench that has damage counters. Now, if you really think about that, that's all this deck does. It puts damage counters on the things on the bench. So if he really wanted to benefit fully, he could be, you know, getting like a shit ton of power on that thing. But for whatever reason, he just didn't decide to do that with Pichu. But I'm going to go ahead and catch her in the hopes that he doesn't have another Fighting Energy in his hand, and I can just kind of work with that. Black Eyes on Crocodile also discards an energy once per turn from the active Pokemon, or just from a Pokemon, I think. And that's not good, because I do need my Prisms and my Rainbows in order to operate, because I don't really have a lot of other basic energies going on. Let's talk about Machamp some more, though. Machamp has the ability Fighting Tag, so if there are any fighting energies on the active Pokemon, you can essentially free treat as long as you move all the fighting energy from the active to the other thing. I mean, you do need a energy on it, but you don't discard it, you just move it over. So I guess not really free treat, since you do have to have a energy, or an energy. A energy is bad grammar. Anyways, Crushing Punch also does 60, which is just enough to kill off Mew. And then if I have Eviolite for whatever reason, even if I were to live the hit, I would lose my energy, assuming, you know, I'm running anything other than fire. I do run some fires in this deck, but for the most part, I just like having that freedom to be able to see off and then Flame Burst using the same energy. Kyurem appreciates the Rainbows too, just because, you know, you get damage counters on it. And then I believe I just run 2 Waters in this deck, just for the sole purpose of having a pure Glaciate, you know, to be immune to, like, lost removers and things like that, since this deck kind of has trouble with that too. But I believe I'm going to go ahead and junk arm out my double colorless and my Pokemon Communication to get a catcher, try to stall for a little bit of time, or maybe my Eviolite, I don't remember. I was thinking about it, and then I was like, you know what, Eviolite, just so Kyurem can actually take these hits. It's the only thing in this deck that's going to be able to take these hits. But I'm going to go ahead and eke out again, pray he doesn't have a catcher, and just let me get set up a little bit more. For the love of God, this Machamp is scaring the shit out of me. And it turns out I'm not drawn into any of my energies. It's like, I don't have that few. I have 4 rainbows, I believe, and then I have 4 prisms. And then I got a couple of other regular energies, but if I plug Jirachi in here, you know, it'll just kind of go with that as well, since I can count those energies as psychic energies, not necessarily towards its Poke Power, but I believe towards its de-evolution thing, which I think de-evolves based on the amount of energies, psychic energies attached to it, or something like that. I haven't looked at the card, but I know that putting it in this deck would definitely not be a bad idea at all. For now, I'm going to go ahead and level ball, decide to get my last Mew, and he does put down another Machamp. Now, cool thing about it is I can catcher it out, but if he has even 1 fighting energy, then I'm just going to have trouble dealing with this Machamp. Decided to put an experience share. In case we did not know how experience share is working right now, the status update on it is working weird. It's working, which is better than what it was doing like a week ago. I don't know what they decided to do with it, but sometimes like the pop-up comes up and then it doesn't let you do anything with it. Or, like, I clicked an energy once. I believe it's in this game, too, where I click an energy and it doesn't even go. And then sometimes it does, but it goes in a completely different poke. So, they're kind of taking a step in a direction. Not the right one, but it's better than just being a fucking wasted thing on there. I finally drawn to another water energy, which I believe are the only 2 that I have. And then I'm also going to go ahead and, I believe, catcher out the Crocodile. And then, since it happens to be weak to water, I can go ahead and start glaciating. Decide to use Sillin right now, too, since I'm not going to go ahead and shuffle out my hand or anything like that. I kind of want to get energies going on the bench Mew, so all I can do is put a fire and then just kind of go from there. But for now, I'm going to glaciate. I know it will power up Machamp, but I do need that damage. And if I had Jirachi, I could be de-evolving pokes and killing him off that way, which is a pretty interesting way to kill him off. I've only fallen for that, like, once. But, it'll be an interesting twist on this deck, and I'm looking forward to doing it. I just need to get said Jirachis first. If any of you guys have them, I would be willing to trade for them. I do have a couple extra cards here and there, have a couple extra codes here and there. I'm probably overdue for another pack opening, speaking of. I could do that probably on Tuesday's video or something. I have to record some more material tonight, too, and maybe make another new deck here and there. But I'll be playing this one for a little bit, and then I'll just kind of be tossing the other ones into the mix. So that's kind of what I got going on. Let's see what he's got. He's got double Machamps, so now I have to deal with 2 of these fucking things. But the cool thing is if I really need to, Mew can take it out with only 2 energy, but I have to discard those 2 energy. So it's just a matter of drawing right. For now, I believe he's going to go for Crushing Punch because that's all he can do, and he gets a little bit of extra damage on me. That's cool, since I'm still okay with Glaciating, and I believe I put a Prism Energy on that. In hindsight, probably should have put a Fire and a Psychic and then saved the Prism for the Kyurem. But it's not really a terrible misplay. For now, I do know that Crocodile will be dying to 1 more attack, either a Glaciate or a Flame Burst. If I can do it with Mew, Machamp's weakness to Mew will, the active Machamp's weakness to Mew will ensure that it dies, and then the Crocodile will die, so I can get 2 prizes next turn. But if he does have another fighting energy, he can knock out my Kyurem, and then he'll still maintain a prize lead. But I'm not doing as bad as it looks right now. Things are pretty bad, don't get me wrong, since that second Kyurem is still very much not powered up at all. But my type advantage is kind of going to help me out in a little bit. For now, he's going to go ahead and go for the fighting tag. I believe this one has a couple of damage counters on it. I think this one was the one I was talking about. Because he fighting tags it, now he has enough to take it out. So, what am I sending in? I'm sending in that one. And then you can see that experience share works now, and I tried clicking on the water, and it doesn't do anything. It just draws me into, I believe that was, yeah, it just kind of skipped it. I was like, okay, that's weird. But gonna put a Eviolite on, Eviolite, whatever you want to call it, But I'm going to pick 2 pokes on the bench to do damage to. I'm going to damage that Machamp. That way I can take it out with a Glaciate or something else or another Flame Burst. But I do 60 to that Machamp. I do 30 to the Crocodile. That is a 2-poke knockout in 1 turn, which is not bad. I had a game the other day. Just ignore that scrolly thing. That's me being stupid. But I had Kyurem knock out 5 pokes in 1 shot, and I really wish I was recording because it was fucking hot. Holy crap. I went from 6-1 prizes, Guide DC'd, and that's how it goes. That's how it used to be before all these EXs floating around, which you're probably not going to see too many games against those. Even though there are a lot of EX decks, this deck does struggle with them because they have really high damage outputs, and they're just really hard to take out. So, plus, I believe if you knock them out on the bench, you only get 1 prize from them as opposed to 2, which is another glitch that kind of sucks. But I won't deal with it right now. For now, I'm going to go ahead and go for Twins. I don't remember what I'm getting. I believe... Why am I getting a... I'm really getting a Catcher and a Rainbow. Okay. How much HP does it have left? 60, 70, 80... Do I attack it? I really hope I attack it. Good. Good. I remembered now that there's type weaknesses, and I'm just going to be able to take it out, so that's cool. I guess I'm just getting a Catcher in case I need to stall for time or whatever, but score's tied up. And he does put a double colors. I don't think he has enough to... Well, he has enough to do 10 damage. But at this point, I can just retreat to that one. And actually, I could have done this with either one. Whatever. I'm going to put a Psychic Energy on it and then just Inferno for the win because he doesn't have anything else on his bench. And that's how it works. So I'll probably be running this deck some more, hopefully with Jirachi, and then we can see how that works out from there. But in the meantime, that's the game. If you guys missed my first game with it, I'll probably plug that and the series playlist as well in the description. I also got this thing called a Backloggery, which kind of shows all the games I've ever played in my life. I've been working on that for a little bit. I don't know. I found it pretty interesting. If you guys want to start it up too, it's pretty cool. But I don't know. I'll probably talk about that. I forgot to talk about it in the video, but I really like the idea and that kind of thing. So I don't know. Gotta record some more tonight. I have a list of things I want to get done here that is at the top of the list actually because you guys are fucking priority like that. I'll probably read or something while I'm rendering that shit out. I don't know. I like talking about things because it makes me feel productive. But now I'm just rambling, and that's not being productive. So I'm just going to go, and I'll see you guys on the next one.